Hello, Aryan here and welcome to this new video tutorial. Today we're going to create this section here by using Bricks Builder and Automatic CSS. If you don't know those two tools, I highly suggest to get in the description of this video. You will find a link that brings you to another tutorial that will explain you how to install Bricks Builder and how to install Automatic CSS. So let's start right away. I have my website here and I already created a page and now I'm editing with Bricks Builder. So let's try to simulate this. I'm not going to make it exactly the same, but we will try to make it responsive and try to make it more similar as possible. First of all, we will start with this title. So the first thing that you need to do is to actually get here and create the section, the main section. So I'm going to click here. As you can see, the structure on the right, if I click this little arrow, I have a container in it and then this section. Great. Now, I want to separate these two elements. The first thing is the title. So I'm going to copy the title. Back here, I need to click the plus button and find the heading. The heading widget allows you to add, of course, the title. So I'm going to select everything. I'm going to paste the title and here we are. Then I got this text here. I'm going to copy it and of course I'm going to add a text, a rich text or a simple text as you wish, and then clicking on it I usually paste, as you can see, the text in it. And of course, as you can see, this is set in the center. In the structure here is outside of the container. So I need to drag and drop it here. Now it's inside of the container. As you can see, the hierarchy here, and now it's aligned to the other text. Great. What to do now? So I now want to add another container for these elements here. So I'm going to click again on the plus button here, and then we are going to click again container, and inside of the container we can now add the rest. Again, as you can see, the container is not added correctly. It's outside of this section here, so I'm going to delete this, keep the container selected, keep the section selected because we want the container inside of the section. So if I click on plus and then click on container, now the container is at the same level of the other container. Okay, so in this second container I select it, I click the plus button, and now if I add any elements, it's going to appear inside of this container. So what we need to create here, I'm going to create the first element, that is this one. It's like the marketing piece, right? And as you can see, there is 3 of those. Usually when you find those kind of stuff, we use grids or flexbox. In my case, as I'm using Automatic CSS, I would use the grid system. So by selecting the container, you can change it, the display, you can change it to grid. And here on grid template columns, I would go on right click and Automatic CSS, as you can see, appears. So right click on the mouse and now you can select the type of grid. You can click on 6 grid, for example, and as you can see, added 6 boxes. In our case, we need 2 rows, right? So I click here and I click here, and now it's adding the rows, and now we have too much elements, right? So let's fix this. Here I need to change it to 3, and now as you can see we have 3 on the top and 3 on the bottom. Cool. Inside of the container we are going to create another element. Okay, so select the container, click on plus button, and now we are going to create we called create let's say a block. Okay, so if I open this, now I have my block in it, and inside of the block, so with the block selected, I'm going to add my element. So the icon, I'm going to add marketing, and I'm going to add this text here. Okay, so for the icon, just click on plus and go on the icon here. Okay, make sure the box is selected, and now the block has a little arrow and shows you that inside of the block we have an icon. Then with the block selected, we are going to click plus and we are going to add a heading, and then we are going to add a rich text, and the structure of this is actually done. So let's copy marketing here and copy this copy this text, and we are going to add it here. Great. I usually do cans to remove the space. Great. So now we have the structure, right? You need to style this, and to style this is very, very easy, because you need to style everything by adding the the sizing and whatever. Before doing that, I prefer to work on the spacing, because the spacing is very important to achieve design like this. So let's say I want to add this spacing here and also some spacing here, right? So how do I do that? So let's go back here. First of all, we need to select the section. The section has the container 1 and container 2. So those two elements, as you can see, this is a container and this is the second container. We need a spacing between those, so the section is in charge of that. With the section selected, I'm going to change the row gap. And if I right click, so again, if I go to the row gap and here right click with my mouse, I have space. I have XS, S, M, L, XL and XXL. So basically I can go with something that is very similar to the design. Let's do some big spacing, so I'm going with the XL in this case. Okay, perfect. And now what we need to do is actually go and space those two texts, right? Because if I get here, there is some spacing, as you can see, between those two elements. So again, click on this one here. You can click the first container, and on the first container row gap, right click, and you can put an XS in this case. I also want to show you later how to change to other sizing, because of course I'm using Automatic CSS in this case, but you can also use for example 20 pixel, or you can use 20 EM. Okay, so you can use whatever you want. As I'm using Automatic CSS, I prefer to do it in this way because it's faster, right? So let's say I have the space XXS, but it's still too much. I can basically do this. Here we go. So basically you need to row gap, you need to make calc, and then after this /2, this will divide the thing in 2 or 3 or 4, for example, and as you can see the spacing changes. So we are go back with the XS, and now we are keeping this spacing. Then let's see, okay, so we have all the other elements. Let's style it a little bit. So first text, okay, style, typography, and then let's go on font size and make it a little bit bigger. Okay, looks a little bit bigger. And now this one we are going to make it a little bit bigger. So this text here, style, font size, right click again. I do right click to use Automatic CSS, and as you can see we can change the font sizing. I'm going like this. It's bigger, but I'm trying to make it more similar as possible very quickly. Great. Now we have this element here, right? This element, of course, has some spacing, right? So if you click on the block here, okay, in this block we need to add on content the row gap again. So right click if you have Automatic CSS, and we can use XS, right? So like this, now we have the spacing. Let me get here. So what they done here is that they have less spacing here, a little bit more spacing here. So how to do that? You can actually click the icon, for example, go on style, and then on layout you can add some padding in the bottom like this. Okay, and you can achieve that. Of course, I used Automatic CSS, but you can use pixel, like 10 pixel or whatever. So this is the final result, of course. And if I get here, okay, great. So if I want to style this, first of all, I prefer to use margin in this case, because if you use padding and you use a background color, it will take all the box. So I'm going to remove this, right click here, I will add the XS here. Great, so now we have more spacing on the top, less spacing here. Perfect, so now we have this element here, right? Great, so what we need to do, the cool thing of bricks is that you can style whatever you want here and then create, how can I call it, a class name, right? And let's say this icon here, I want to make it like this, and I will call it espresso ES, and then oh, let's call it WP so it's easier for you guys to remember, maybe. Icon card 1. Okay, great. So now you can remove this and keep it like that. Go and name this into so I will call it WP title card 1. Okay, and then this one I will call it WP description card 1. Perfect. So now we have all of those. As you can see, if I click one and the other one, they have the little class name. When this is selected in yellow, means that if you do any editing here, it will go and save it into the class. If you remove it, as you can see, now it's not editing the class anymore, but you can edit the instance. Anyway, I will show that in a moment. So once we did this, we need to add some other elements, right? So now we have everything in the block. With the block selected, I usually add another class. So make sure this block is selected here, and we're going to add WP, and we call it block. No, wait, card 1 wrap or something like that. You can always rename it in the future. Okay, so now we did everything, right? So what we do here, I can close this so that it's easier for me to duplicate that, and I can start duplicating everything, and as you can see, it added it to the grid. If I keep duplicating, he will keep adding me other elements at the bottom. So let's stick with 6 elements. Great. So now what happens? We have some spacing, right, that we need to add, because I don't want those all so close one to another. So you go on the container and on content. So in the container, you can add the gap here, right? So right click, XS, and as you can see, it's just previewing how it will look if you put like the spacing, right? So bricks on the back end looks a little bit buggy sometimes, like in this case, you see that the grid stays there and the elements are overflowing from the lines, but don't worry, on the front end is all fine. So let's say I want an M, okay, and if I click away, I see that now it looks much better, much similar to this. If you want to really get the same structure, same design, of course, you need to stay there and put all your spacing and whatever. But now I show you also a cool feature, like let's say I want to change the title, right, and make everything change. So I'm going to click this title here, click on the card, style, typography, and I will make it smaller, right? Oh, let's say L. Look at this, everything changed because all the duplicated elements has the same class in it, okay? And okay, what happens if I remove this and I make an editing? If I remove this and I edit the font size, nothing is changing because I did not select the class. So I'm going to remove the typography and reselect the class, and as you can see, if you select the class, it's showing you what the class has as font size. I know this at the beginning would be really confusing, but I'm just trying to explain you how it works. Okay, great. So let's say you want to add, right, some styling to the icon. They have an icon with a bluish thing here. I'm going to try to get the same colors, so I use this tool. It's a Google Chrome extension, and I get this, copy, then ask, and this you need to select the class to make it active, so it's going to change to all of those. And color, I'm going to add my hex color, and as you can see, all the color is changing. Okay, okay, great. So what now? So I would like to also add, let's say, a size to it, right? So the sizing here is pretty small, so probably it will be maybe 20 pixel, or you can use also EM, so like 3 EM, or maybe less. Okay, 2 EM. And then I'm going also to add the background. So click on background, and basically you can change the color of the background, right? So I'm going here again, I get the color of the background, copy it, paste it on here, hex. Oh, so I got the wrong color here. Let me try again. Okay, great. Then I can go on border, and on border you can actually click here and make it like 100%, and just, you know, like this. If you're using Automatic CSS, also here you can right click and he give you the radius, like you can click circle and he's basically doing the circle, right? And layout, I'm going to padding. Let's add some padding. Maybe this is too much, but let's try again. So now we need to click here and here to apply to everything, and as you can see, now we have the similar structure, right? So that's pretty nice. And yeah, so if you want to change the icon, of course you can click here and change the icon whatever you want. Okay, so let's say I will choose this, and it change only in this one. I want to change this one to another one. So those are changing not to all the instances, but in any case it changed only to one. So just to make it a little bit nicer, of course you can upload your own SVG. You just need to click here and you can upload your own. Actually, you need to add an SVG widget. Let me check this. Yep, you need to add the SVG widget if you want to upload your own. In this case, we are using the icon widget, so they are, you know, giving you some predefined widgets. It's a little hard here, and this one. Let's find something cool. This little car, and as you can see, we basically did the same structure very quickly, right? So now let's say there is this little gray color here, right? So I can click on this and click here, so that will apply to all the classes with this name. Style and typography and the color, we can change it. You will notice that I can, with the normal click of the mouse, like the left click, I get the color from bricks, but right click I get the color from ACSS. And this is pretty cool because in next tutorial I will also show you how to set up the whole thing for you know, having the same color, same styling to all the new elements that you will add. Anyway, let's say I want to add a gray color to this. Okay, or maybe I can use just this one, neutral color. Okay, and as you can see, the color was applied to all of them. Okay, let's say I want to apply the same color to this one. Right click here if you're using ACSS, and as you can see, now we have the light color. Okay, so we made this structure pretty cool. Let's say the icon, I want to change it. I don't really like it, it's too big, so let's 1.2, and it's a little bit nicer, the icon is smaller, and that's okay. So let's save it so that, you know, in any case we don't lose everything. Great. So I also noticed that the text here is not really getting to the, you know, to the how can I say, at the end of the element. So I'm going to click on this element here, so the rich text, style, and then with width I can right click and say, okay, I want it, you know, in this way, I want it like that, or you can use pixel, whatever. So let's say I want to use the L. Okay, I like it more. So now, as you can see, everything is fine. So let's test this out. What happens if I go on tablet? Look at this. Everything spaced evenly. Let's say I go on this one, everything spaced evenly, and the text also is shrinking because it's fluid with ACSS. So now look at this. So let's say on the mobile I don't really want three columns. Okay, this is very easy. With this selected, with the mobile portrait selected, you can actually go on the container. The container is this one. You can close as you wish to know, you know, on the hierarchy where we are. So in the container selected, I will tell him in content that, as you can see, showing you in a really light soft color what you have on the desktop version. And as you can see, there's a little dot on the desktop. This means that you made some styling on the desktop version. If I would do the same here, when I move to desktop, I will see a little dot here telling me, okay, you made some changes on the mobile version. So with that said, let's change the grid to 2. Okay, again, as you can see, now we have 2, and if I go to the desktop version, we have 3. If I get back here, we have 2, 3. So you can actually choose for each breakpoint how many to show. I usually go with 2 in a mobile, and that's it. You have a fully responsive section. Let me save this. Oops, and let me go on this. So to check it out, you can actually wait a moment. I usually better to use this. Look at this, the text is shrinking, and look at that. We went to 2 columns. Of course, if you don't like this this part here, because it's actually very tight, we can go and edit in bricks. We can go and edit that this viewport here. So until this, and here maybe I want it also 2 columns. And the cool thing is that if you want those 2 to have 2 columns, what I highly suggest to do is this. You get here, you select the container, you remove it from the mobile. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. Oops, wait. I'm going to copy with the keyboard. And instead of adding it here, add it here, because when you add something on the previous viewport, if I change to 2, automatically on mobile it will be 2. So you don't have to change all of those. Let's say that I want that from this viewport to the mobile, I want them to be only 2 columns. You just need to put it here, and all will get the same setting. But if you have something written here, this will override that. Okay, so we have 2 columns here. Great, save, and let's go to the page. Cool. Look at this. Now we don't have that really tight thing. We have already this one that is much better and is fully responsive, guys. Fully responsive. Let's say, of course, this is not existing. There is no resolution like that. But anyway, this is usually the mobile. It's here. So, you know, everything looks great. I hope that this tutorial was useful, guys. I will be doing more tutorials to create more complex structures. Of course, if you want the same design, guys, you need to take your time and style everything as is shown on other designs. But yeah, see you in the next video. I don't want to take you more of your time. Thank you. Bye bye.